Yo, hey, this shit easy, nigga. Hey, all I'm talking about, nigga, I'm still out here trying to get it.
Contender Regime Boxing, checking back in with y'all, man. What's going on? So, of course, we had the Keith Thurman versus Mario Barrios fight this past weekend. Shout out to Clarissa Shields. She also got another victory over yet another undefeated fighter this past weekend, man, doing her thing, looking phenomenal as normal. But, I wanted to focus on Keith Thurman and what could potentially be next for Keith Thurman. He made his long-awaited return back to boxing, and he went in there, put on a really respectable performance versus Mario Barrios, a guy who was a credible guy at 140, was a decent fighter at 135, and he went out there, he got the victory. As I said in the post-fight reaction, I wasn't particularly impressed. And again, it's no slight to Keith Thurman. A lot of people feel like I got something against Keith Thurman just because I'm an Earl Spence fan or whatever it may be. I don't have anything personal against Keith Thurman. I am a Keith Thurman fan. I'm not no, diehard stomp down Keith Thurman fan, but I fuck with him and I support him and I like watching him fight. And I think he brings a lot of great things to the sport, and particularly the welterweight division. So I'm happy that he's back. I was rooting for him, of course. Picked Keith Thurman to win. I was hoping that we would see, a more dominating performance, a more dominant performance. But he was still dominant, at the same time. He did get hurt to the body late in the fight, but at no point in the fight did I question whether or not Keith was gonna win, or did I feel worried or anything like that. I mean, he was in total control of Mario Barrios the whole fight, and he did what he was supposed to do to get the victory. Now, I would have loved to see Keith Thurman stop Mario Barrios. And it's not because Mario Barrios is coming up in weight. That's not why. You don't, just because a guy's coming up don't mean you're going to stop him. Especially when it's a guy who can naturally fill out at that weight division. You seen Mario Barrios, he came in the weigh-in bigger than Keith. And on fight night, he looked like he might have been bigger than Keith as well. You know what I'm saying? You see he's taller than Keith. So I'm not saying that because he's coming up in weight that Keith should have stopped him. No, I'm saying that Keith should have stopped him because he's coming up in weight after coming off his last fight getting stopped by Tank Davis, who was a 130 pounder. Tank Davis went up to 140, his first fight at 140, and stopped Mario Barrios. You know what I'm saying? So it's not just him coming up in weight. It's the fact that he's coming up in weight and after getting stopped by an even smaller guy in the lower weight class. So that I'm thinking, now I know the whole 10-ounce glove thing. Now that's a real issue. That's a real thing, and I that ain't something that we just gonna gloss over. Mario Barrios' team, they sent in 10-ounce gloves to the Nevada, boxing commission or what have you. And, of course, as Keith Thurman explained in one of those interviews, that both fighters have to agree in the state of Nevada to fight in 8-ounce gloves, or else it's going to be by default 10-ounce gloves. And Mario Barrios, he sent in his 10-ounce gloves, and they took that as his request, or that's what he wanted to fight in. So Keith Thurman had no choice but to fight in 10-ounce gloves. I do believe that those shots that Keith was landing on Barrios with 8-ounce gloves, it probably would have had a different impact. Now, again, I still think he should have stopped Barrios with the 10-ounce gloves, but I do understand that did play a factor, so we're not just gonna gloss over that. But what's next? Keith Thurman, I think his record is now 30-1. Very solid, man. Keith has done some really good things in boxing, and it's been a pleasure to watch him fight. And I love Keith Thurman outside the ring, giving interviews and talking. He's he's straight out of the WWE. You know what I'm saying? Got the personality. A great talker, a great promoter of himself. Talking about himself in third person. I actually think that's genius. Every every other line or sentence, he's saying Keith Thurman. You know what I'm saying? You know, Keith Thurman don't take no shit. You know what I'm saying? Keith Thurman gonna do this. Keith Thurman gonna keep one time Thurman. That is great branding and self promotion, and I love that. So you know, as long as Keith Thurman keep winning and keep doing this thing, he gonna always be around, and he's gonna always be a guy, a credible guy that's worthy of fighting. You dig what I'm saying? So with that being said, you know, I put up a poll in regard to who y'all think that Keith Thurman's next opponent should be. I had Gervonta Tank Davis, and this is what we're going to talk about as you see in the title. I had Errol Spence, Terrence Crawford, Jaron Ennis, and Virgil Ortiz. Now get this. I would love to see Keith Thurman in there with any of those guys because I think any of those fights are great fights. Now, the priority, in my opinion, is unifications and undisputed right now at welterweight. You seen the brother Errol Spence Jr. He just posted on his Instagram page loading. You know, with him, it was a picture of him, you know, at the Dallas Cowboys Stadium with Jerry Jones. I believe that was the fight. Matter of fact, no, that was at the Star. That was at the Star when he fought Carlos Ocampo, but he had the Dallas Cowboy, you know, get up. You know, Jerry Jones in the ring with him after he had just stopped Carlos Ocampo. You dig what I'm saying? And you know, just letting y'all know that hey, you about to get that announcement, that official announcement soon. We're gonna be right back at Cowboys Stadium, and it's going down. You dig what I'm saying? You know, Errol Spence Jr. versus Yordenis Ugas unification match. Now, Terrence Crawford, you know, of course, he's going through the lawsuit with Bob Arum, so I really don't know what type of impact that's going to have on his availability and or ability to fight, you know, or to make matches and shit like that for the near future. So we'll see what happens with that. But I think the priority is undisputed. The winner out of Errol Spence and Yordenis Ugas, they need to be focused on fighting Terrence Crawford. And that's why I wanted to talk about this Keith Thurman and Gervonta Tank Davis match because, you know, it might sound like this is the most even though this might be the most intriguing match. I think it's the most intriguing match. I think it's the best match. Just me personally, I think it's the most intriguing match from a stylistic matchup, skills, you know, entertainment value, all of that. You dig what I'm saying? And we're gonna talk about that. But you know, it might sound unrealistic, but I think this is probably the most realistic thing. Because peep this, Jaron Ennis, as you've seen on the poll, great fighter. I think he's gonna be the face of boxing, for real. I think Jaron Ennis is gonna be the pound for pound #1 face of boxing in the future. He's the present and the future. You dig what I'm saying? That kid is special. I also love Virgil Ortiz. I think he will be a great fight for Keith Thurman. Conor Benn, I didn't have him on the poll. They only let me put 5 people. But Conor Benn, I think that's a great fight. Imante Stanionis, great fight. You know, but all of those young guys, even though we think that those will be great fights for Keith Thurman, an opportunity for him to prove himself and let us know that he still got that fire and desire and that he's back and that he deserves to be in there with Errol Spence. And I mean, we know that just on paper, resume-wise, what Keith Thurman brings to the table in the ring, we know that he deserves to be in there with Terrence Crawford. We know that he deserves to be in there with Errol Spence. That's not even a question. But we got to keep it in perspective on what the priority is. It's undisputed. The priority is Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford. So before he get in there with either one of those guys, I want to see Keith Thurman either fight one of the young guys that I just named. Now, the reason why I'm talking about Keith Thurman versus Gervonta Tank Davis is because Keith Thurman has shown no interest in fighting Jaron Ennis, and I don't blame him. Fighting Jaron Ennis for Keith Thurman ain't gonna do shit but get him retired. You know what I'm saying? And that's no disrespect to Keith Thurman, but it ain't gonna get nothing. Keith Thurman ain't gonna get nothing out of beating Jaron or fighting Jaron Ennis if he fuck around and let's just say he fought him and he fucked around and beat him. He gonna get stripes like on the underground level. He gonna get stripes in the streets. He gonna get stripes on the underground level as hardcore boxing fans. Like, cause a whole lot of people still don't even know who Jaron Boots Ennis is. They starting to catch wind. It's casuals that's catching wind, but they don't know no damn Jaron Ennis like that. You feel me? Cause he up and coming. He ain't had the opportunity to be on that stage yet. You know what I'm saying? Keith done fought on pay-per-view 2 times. He done fought Manny Pacquiao. People know Keith Thurman. So it's way more beneficial for Jaron Ennis to fight Keith Thurman as opposed to Keith Thurman fighting Jaron Boots Ennis. It's like if he beat him, you took a big ass risk, and you ain't gonna get you're not gonna get no big bag. You're not really gonna if you beat him, they gonna say, well, Jaron Ennis we never even seen him pass 6 rounds. You know what I'm saying? They gonna say Jaron Ennis, he was just a prospect. We never really seen what he was gonna be anyway. You feel me? And Keith Thurman ain't gonna get no credit. Just like how Jermell Charlo, he beat who I think was one of the best prospects at that time in Erickson Lubin, knocked him out in the first round, and he don't get no credit for that. You know what I'm saying? People just gloss over that victory. In my opinion, that was an extremely impressive victory. But nobody talks about that shit. You know what I'm saying? So, because it happened when Erickson Lubin was so young and so wet behind the ears and shit. You dig what I'm saying? So, ain't really no incentive for Keith Thurman. I want the fight. Don't get it fucked up. I would love if Keith Thurman came out and said, I'm fighting Jaron Ennis next. I would love that. I'd pay cash money for it. But I'm speaking realistically. Keith Thurman, there is no incentive for Keith Thurman to fight Jaron Ennis. Same thing with Virgil Ortiz. That's an extremely dangerous fight. Fighting a dude that if you beat him, you're not going to get no stripes on. They going to say, well, Virgil Ortiz got dropped by Mean Machine. You know what I'm saying? They gonna say, he ain't did nothing. He ain't fought nobody. Conor Ben, Montes Stanionis, it's the same shit, right? However, there has been mutual interest on the side of Gervonta Tank Davis and Keith Thurman. Now we seen that there was a rumor that Leonard. It wasn't no rumor because Leonard Ellaby actually did come out and say, we want Keith Thurman. We'll take that fight. Leonard Ellaby, and we know that he is the CEO of the money team. We know that Leonard Ellaby and Floyd Mayweather, they guide and control the career of Gervonta Tank Davis. Tank Davis really don't have no say on who he fight. They say, all right, look, this who you fighting, Tank, go get ready. And Tank just show up and whoop whoever ass they put in front of him. That's how it go. So if Leonard Ellaby and them said, look, Tank, this who we looking at, we looking at Keith Thurman, that's what's going to happen. Keith Thurman has also came out when he heard that shit. He was like, shit, all right, bring your ass up here. I'll show you what a real welterweight do. Come up here to 147 and I'll spank you. You feel me? Keith Thurman is extremely interested in fighting Gervonta Tank Davis. He is extremely interested in that fight. You saw the enthusiasm and the passion behind the words that he was saying when he was talking about fighting Tank Davis. So there's obvious interest in that fight between both camps. Also, they're both on the PBC. Easy fight to make. Another thing is they just came off fighting common opponents on pay-per-view. Gervonta Tank Davis fought Mario Barrios on pay-per-view. Keith Thurman just fought Mario Barrios on pay-per-view. They have a common opponent. Keith Thurman is an extremely exciting fighter, when he wants to be. Got power in both hands, throws big lefts and right. That his name, his moniker, Keith, one time Thurman. It only just take one time. I hit you with one of these bitches and you going down. We know Gervonta Tank Davis, who I have top 7 on my pound for pound list right now. Again, this is another opportunity to flex his pound for pound ability, whether it's for a title or not. And this is another thing. Gervonta Tank Davis and the money team, they don't give a fuck about no belts, none of that shit. Even though I care about stuff like that, some fans care about it, some don't. But Tank Davis is the definition of a prize fighter. They not worried about no belts, none of that. They just want to fight the best and biggest names that they can get that can make money, you know what I'm saying, and that can make Tank's profile even bigger. Now, what Tank doing is really like some cold ass shit if you think about it. If he was to go up and fight Keith Thurman at 147, that shit would be amazing. He got to be top 3 pound for pound. Give a fuck about a belt. We talking about pound for pound. He doing this shit casually in different weight classes. You seen how he just jumped up his first fight at 140. You fight big ass Mario Barrios and you go in there and stop him late in the fight. You know what I'm saying? People criticize him a lot for how the fight was going. I thought Tank, it took him a while to find his range, something that Keith Thurman really failed to do in that fight. with Mario Barrios, but it took Tank some time to take that jab away and find his range and get in there and get to his body and to his head and put him down. You know what I'm saying? But it's a chess match. Tank Davis, I think, is a supremely skilled fighter in all facets. Go back to when I did my rankings for the top 10 pound for pound. I had Tank rated higher than anybody just on a skill for skill basis. Go back and check it out if you want to delve a little bit deeper into that. You know what I'm saying? But it's a very intriguing matchup. And when you look at what Tank brings to the table, the power, the explosiveness, the athleticism, then you got the whole factor like, oh my God, Tank coming up to another weight class. He done fought at 130, 135, 140. He can go do it again at 147 versus Keith Thurman. You know what I'm saying? The reach advantage really ain't that crazy. I think Keith maybe got an inch and a half, maybe 2 inches. I think it's like an inch and a half reach advantage. You know what I'm saying? Keith Thurman really ain't nothing but about 5'7", 5'7 and a half. Tank Davis about 5'5". You know what I'm saying? I mean, this is a fight that can be made. And I think Tank could make 147 smooth and still look good. You know what I mean? Tell me you wouldn't want to pay for Keith Thurman versus GERVONTA Tank Davis. I would pay cash money for that. I know somebody going to sleep. Somebody going to sleep. And at the very least, it's going to be an elite, high-level class of chess match. It's going to be like two of the most talented guys in the sport going at it, man, with dynamite in both hands. You dig what I'm saying? That is a great fight. I would love to see that. I'd much rather push that than push the idea of Keith Thurman getting in the way of Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford. Or let me not discount Ugas, because Ugas can beat Errol Spence. It's possible. If Ugas beat Errol Spence, I want to see him go fight Terrence Crawford. I want to see undisputed. I don't want to. If some way Errol Spence and Keith Thurman got made, it's not a bad fight. But that's not the priority in my opinion. I want to see Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford. Meanwhile, a fight that both guys are mutually interested in, Keith Thurman and Tank Davis, is a pay-per-view fight that's worthy of your money, and both guys want to make the fight, and it can easily be made. That fight can easily be made. And it's a great fight. You know what I'm saying? Now, you know, I think Tank Davis can beat Keith Thurman. I think Keith Thurman can beat Tank Davis, but, you know, I think it's a true 50-50 fight. And I might have to lean towards Tank on that one. You dig what I'm saying? But it's going to be some things, of course, some obvious hurdles that he's going to have to overcome. And I think there's going to be some things that Keith Thurman going to have to deal with in that fight as well. But y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments, man. What do y'all think about a Keith Thurman and GERVONTA Tank Davis fight? How do y'all feel about that? Is that a realistic matchup to y'all? And keep in mind everything that I just put out there. You know, we focus on undisputed at 147. We ain't got time to be playing no games. You know what I'm saying? Errol Spence ain't finna be at 147 for too much longer. You know what I'm saying? And Terrence Crawford, he getting older by the day. You dig what I'm saying? So we need to focus on that and let Keith Thurman, let's see what he can do with Tank. Y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments, man. Contender regime, boxing, I'll holler at y'all boys, man.